I wanted to do a show I haven't done for a while. K100 Sports was a show that I did where I talked about all sports, but I've been so backlogged with things I needed to get done. I haven't really had a chance to do one of these because of the other shows I need to get done, whether it be podcasts, whether it needs to be videos, whether it needs to be my actual research in order to give out winning betting picks over at lockbetting.com. I've been flooded with my work, but I have found a little window to do an episode of K100 Sports because there are multiple things I want to talk about very quickly here. And we'll start with the Premier League right now. I thought Arsenal were going to run away with it at some point, but the past few weeks have been scary. The result, the defeat away to Aston Villa, and then the home win against Wolves, where Arsenal were very lucky. And there's two ways to look at that. You could look at it as Arsenal winning off the back of a bad performance and finding a way to win late on, and that's what champions do. It could be seen as the mark of champions, but that's Wolves. It's very different to do it against certain other Premier League teams. There are mid-table teams that make things very difficult for you, and sometimes you need to grind out a result against the likes of Palace, against the likes of a Palace or a Bournemouth or someone like that, or an Everton, but it's Wolves. Wolves are a team you should have blown away by 4 or 5 goals. Wolves are a team who Man United scored 4 goals against. So, I mean, Man United have scored 8 goals in their last 2 games. So, I don't know if that's the best example. But, yeah, for me, that was very, very concerning. And Man City's form has been concerning as well as an Arsenal backer because they just blew away Crystal Palace at the weekend, and that's a very difficult place to go to. So, unfortunately, as an Arsenal backer, I do think we have a genuine title race, and I am concerned if Arsenal actually have the stomach for it. It would be good if Arsenal were getting those 3 goals that Man City are getting from Haaland, who is able to score a half chance. But it does look like Victor Gyökeres isn't going to live up to the hype and expectations. And I'm not sure Arsenal fans were ever really sold on him. Don't forget, Arsenal's first choice striker this season was to go and get Sesko, who ended up at Manchester United. So they didn't want to go for Victor Gyökeres. But more interestingly, somebody else that didn't want to go for Victor Gyökeres was his former manager, Ruben Amorim. If Victor Gyökeres was available and wanting to go, why didn't Manchester United go for him if Ruben Amorim believed that he could score goals in the Premier League? Or was it really a case, like Arsenal fans would have you believe, that Victor Gyökeres only wanted to go to Arsenal and that was what he was holding out for? But at the moment, I think it's fair to say, as things go so far, it hasn't really worked out for Victor Gyökeres. I think he's had a decent number of games now. Yes, he's had injuries, but he's played a decent number of games and his goal return hasn't been good enough. It's also more worrying, I think, rather than him not scoring a goal, is the fact that there are a lack of chances, which means that either A, they're not giving him good enough service and not delivering those balls that Gyökeres feeds off, or B, Gyökeres isn't getting in the right positions and the chemistry isn't there with the other attackers and creative players. So I don't know what the situation is, but if Arsenal are going to win the Premier League, they are going to need contributions from Victor Gyökeres, whilst it doesn't need to be the same as Haaland, because in other areas of the pitch, Arsenal have a better midfield than Manchester City. Arsenal have a better defence than Manchester City, especially when Gabriel and Saliba are available. That, for me, is the best centre-back pairing on the planet. So in other areas of the pitch, Arsenal are more competent than Man City. Arsenal are going to concede less bad goals than Man City. Arsenal are going to see out more games than Man City. But if Arsenal aren't getting those 3 goals, if Arsenal aren't getting at least 15 Premier League goals from Victor Gyökeres, they are not going to win the Premier League, and they are going to hand this trophy to Man City. These two are the only 2 viable contenders, but I do believe that we genuinely have a title race in the Premier League this season. As for the Champions League, looking 6 match days in, well, this is one of the most wide open Champions Leagues that we've seen. Bayern Munich were the most impressive team in Europe, but they have had little blips in recent weeks, including a 3-1 defeat against Arsenal, where Arsenal beat them quite soundly in the Champions League. And then, of course, at the weekend, they drew at home to bottom of the table Mons. So we are seeing a little bit of a dip from Bayern Munich. They aren't looking like the machine they were at the start of the season. So for me, maybe that takes them out of being a contender. Paris Saint-Germain are a team I can see getting right at the right time. It's been a rare thing this season to see PSG pick their full players. They've been plagued by injuries. Ballon d'Or winner Dembele has barely played. So when PSG are all fit and up and running, they'll be a genuine contender for the Champions League. The only concern that PSG have this year, which is a rare one, is I don't know if they'll have their league wrapped up like they usually do by March, because they have been very complacent with the league. So complacent, in fact, that as we head into Christmas, it's likely they won't be top of the table, because Lens are top of the table right now. So the situation for PSG domestically isn't as simple as it usually is, with Lens set to be top of the table heading into Christmas. PSG needs to get things done domestically. They need to be going on a run where they just do what they usually do, which is just plough through the Farmers League, and then they can focus on the Champions League and be fresh. If Liverpool can get right, they can be a contender again. We know Liverpool can be very difficult to beat at Anfield, even though PSV swept them aside. But for me, I still think Arsenal are a major threat in the Champions League, despite the fact they have had a drop-off in the Premier League and have dropped some points and looked poor against Wolves. This is still a team that will go to European grounds and set up defensively, and they will be able to keep clean sheets. Now, whilst that is a great trait in the Premier League, ultimately you do need to be able to break teams down. You do need goals. You do need to break down low blocks. In the Champions League, you don't need to do that. Maybe Arsenal against massive clubs will take their chances in penalty shootouts. Perhaps Arsenal will find a way where they're able to score just once across 3 hours of football, which is 2 legs of football, and maybe they'll be able to see that out. The fact is, if you're not conceding goals, you are a massively dangerous team in knockout football, and Arsenal have the best backline in all of the world. So when you have the best backline in the world, that serves you very well in knockout competition. It also serves you well domestically, but ultimately in those 90-minute periods, you do need to find the goals to break down low blocks and pick up 3 points, which isn't quite as essential in knockout football, which is why we might see a dark horse winning the World Cup. The World Cup, by the way, was the draw was just done. A big extravaganza with the likes of Tom Brady, Donald Trump, all there. And I will be giving you my takes on that World Cup draw over on the Soccer Gambling Podcast. There will be a podcast out for that. The NFL, we are hitting week 16 now, and we aren't really none the wiser as to who is a huge favourite to win the Super Bowl, or even to win a conference. You would probably argue that the Buffalo Bills now look like the best team in the AFC. But do you want to take the Buffalo Bills winning all their games on the road? The Buffalo Bills, for me, in order to be a super strong favourite to plough through that AFC, would need to be playing all of their games in the cold weather of Buffalo. That would be a huge advantage for Josh Allen and his team. There's no doubt in my mind that even if that isn't the case, that they still will be able to beat teams on the road, whether they travel to Pittsburgh or Baltimore, most likely Pittsburgh. They'll have a guaranteed pass through to the next round, and that's where things become more difficult. Can Bills win 3 games on the road? They are the best team. They have the best player because they have the best quarterback. Josh Allen can win games out of absolutely nowhere. He can win games by himself. But for me, they are an absolute slam dunk to be in the Super Bowl if the Bills between now and week 18, between now and the end of the postseason, can secure that number 1 seed. But in order to do so, they will need a favour from either the Jets or Miami, because even if they are tied up with the Patriots, if the Patriots lose to the Ravens and the Ravens are 3-point favourites to beat the Patriots this weekend, that doesn't do Bills the favour that they need, because the Patriots will still be winning within the division. So they need it to happen in one of the other games. And it doesn't really help the Bills that the Miami Dolphins lost to the Steelers this week, because they now may be giving up for the season. But you'd like to think that in that divisional game that they try to put forth one last effort to spoil the aspirations of a divisional opponent. So still a chance for the Bills, but I think it needs to go through Buffalo for them. So if not them, who? The Texans are a team who have a defense that will travel home and away. Whether they're at home, whether they do secure the division and play the first game at home, they're ultimately not going to be the 1 or 2 either way. So eventually they're going to go on the road, but that defense travels on the road. It traveled away to Kansas City, where they won the game. They also won at the Colts. And I have absolute confidence in the Texans that they will be able to win road games. So for me, if the Buffalo Bills aren't at home, if they aren't the number 1 seed, if the road to the Super Bowl doesn't go through Buffalo, I would be taking the Texans there. I'm not going to be backing the Patriots. I'm not going to be backing the Denver Broncos. They are due their losses. And I just think it's unbelievable that Denver didn't get their loss this weekend. That was largely down to Watson and Parsons being injured for Green Bay. And that's why Denver were able to come back from 23-14 down in that game. Over on the NFC side of things, I just spoke about the Packers. I think the Packers are done now. I think those injuries they suffered this weekend are massive. Everybody's talking about Parsons, and Parsons was going to be the difference maker. Parsons is the big loss. I think Watson's equally as important because he spreads the field so much on offense. Now I don't know who Love is going to throw to. It's now Kraft, it's now Watson, it's now Parsons on the defense, and for me, that's Packers' season over. Even if they do get through to the playoffs, and I'm not even sure it's a guarantee that they'll make it through to the playoffs, given the fact that they have to play the Bears this weekend. And I think this is going to be one of those situations where we do lose to the Bears. We're going to have to split the games with the Bears. And then, obviously, we have a tough game against Baltimore because Baltimore are trying to play to get into the postseason. So they need wins. So it's difficult for Green Bay. And the Vikings is going to be no gimme either. So if we don't win another game, it won't be a massive surprise to me. And if we only win one of those two games, I don't know where that puts us. That makes things very tight, especially if Detroit win out. And I do think there's a very real possibility that Detroit will win out. I don't think they're done yet, even though their playoff percentage chance is very, very low. Don't sleep on Detroit. It does look like Chicago are going to be there. It does look like the 49ers are going to be there. They'll have to go away to the Colts and win this weekend. And the Colts are obviously playing with Phillip Rivers. People will look at that and say, okay, Rivers did okay last week. Will he get better? I think it will probably move in the opposite direction. I think that was more about Seattle looking ahead to the LA Rams more than it was about Phillip Rivers. As for Seattle and the Rams, I do believe that will determine not only the winner in the division, but it will determine the number one seed in the conference, and that will be a massive advantage for either team, even though weirdly, Seattle have better results on the road this season than they do have at home. So it's all to play for. If I was to pick the Super Bowl right now, and bearing in mind it is the most difficult year to do this, I would probably be looking at the Houston Texans going up against the LA Rams on the other side of things. But that really is down to a process of elimination. I was concerned by what I saw from Seattle at the weekend. Maybe they were looking ahead and maybe they put everything right. And if they do, then for me, that young team could be unstoppable in the playoffs, but we'll have to wait and see. But I just trust the Rams a little bit more coming off what they did against Detroit. So for me, it's just through a process of elimination. So it would be the Rams. They have a reliable quarterback. They have a solid defense. They have a coach who's been there and done it. They would be the most sensible pick for the NFC side of things. Green Bay have too many injuries. Chicago have relied on too much luck. Detroit aren't even there yet. The San Francisco 49ers are more dangerous than people are giving them credit for. So they, for me, would be a dark horse that everybody's overlooking. See, the age of the Seahawks, some of the youngsters that they'll be relying on, that would be an issue for me, because will they freeze in the playoffs or will they just continue to make plays the way they have done in the regular season? And then, of course, you have the Philadelphia Eagles. The way they're playing is there's no chance that the Eagles are winning the NFC. So by process of elimination, it comes down to the Rams. So that's really all I wanted to talk about on this episode. I wanted to touch on some tennis very, very briefly, but it's quite a generic take. It really is just asking the question, can anybody emerge this year to stop Sinner and Alcaraz splitting the slams? Because when you look at it going in, you start on a hard court surface, and that is where Sinner has been the most dominant player in the world. And you would fully expect Sinner on his favourite hard court surface to take the Australian Open and to finish up by winning the US Open as well. And in the middle, you would think the clay would favour Alcaraz again. And then obviously Alcaraz, you would favour him to win back his Wimbledon crown. But don't be surprised if they swap out. If Sinner wins one of Alcaraz's, if Alcaraz wins one of Sinner's, they are that good and they are head and shoulders above the rest of the players. But who can stop Sinner and Alcaraz, and how do you bet that moving forward? Because looking ahead to what their quarter odds are going to be, Sinner's going to be close to minus 300, minus 400 to win his quarters. Alcaraz is going to be minus 200 or less, maybe even minus 250 to win his quarters for nearly every single tournament. Do you just continue parlaying them together? Do you just continue to bet on that final and just fully believe that no one is going to infiltrate this pairing? Or can you see someone on the horizon? Can you see a breakthrough? Does Zverev finally get there? Does Ben Shelton have his year where he joins them? Who do you name? Does who? Does what? Who's it going to be? Is Djokovic going to just have an amazing tournament? Does he find a way to make a final run and get his hands on Grand Slam 25? I don't think he will. I don't think Djokovic will ever win another Grand Slam ever again, unfortunately. So the same way I said to my friend the other day in the darts, I don't think Michael van Gerwen will ever win a world championship in darts again. I think it's just going to be Luke Littler, unless someone new comes up on the scene and can really challenge Luke Littler, which I don't see happening in this tournament. Obviously, Luke Humphreys can always give him a game, and Luke Humphreys always dangerous. And when Luke Humphreys is at his best, all it takes in darts is for someone to be 5% off their best and for someone to be at their best, and that's a game changer. So yeah, I am watching the darts right now. I am covering the darts. We have recovered from an 0-3 start to go on a 7-0 run. So you are getting darts as part of lockbetting.com. Also, don't forget the offer that we are doing at the moment. Head over to lockbetting.com. And for the month of December, if you purchase yourself a soccer package, you will get the ultimate pack. What's the ultimate pack? The ultimate pack is all sports. That's what you see in the spreadsheets. The spreadsheets which show that we have delivered 150 months in a row of transparent and track profit. You can see all the latest spreadsheets posted over to the Instagram. The Instagram is at lockbetting. Have a look through them before you sign up. I want you to see them. I'm not one of these people coming on and selling $30 plays or $99 weekly packages or anything like that, and then not recapping my losses and hiding away from them. Look, you can see all of that across YouTube. All you need to do is go across YouTube, put in betting picks, and you will see all of these companies coming through. Your likes of Doc Sports, your likes of Wager Talk, and Wager Talk definitely aren't as bad as Doc Sports. They actually do have one or two cappers that I actually do respect, that have some very good that provide some very good analysis, very, very different to what you see from Doc Sports and your likes of your Drew Dinsiks and your old man's club, which is VEASAN, who are constantly churning out horrible content, losing content constantly. But for me, I'm transparent and tracked. You can see it. I tell you to. I don't want to erase my history because I'm proud of it, because it's all winning history. And hopefully it's a winning future as well. But the only way you'll find out is to head over to lockbetting.com and sign up for the service with 150 months in a row of consecutive tracked and transparent profit.